So, Jim, let me ask you, what are the elements of a business video production that help it stand out amongst all these other videos that people have thrown at them?
Whew, somewhat loaded question. A lot of it's going to depend on what that company is, what they're trying to get out. But I think to be different, you know, you talk about there's a lot of videos out there, a lot of commercials that kind of do the same type shtick of,
Mhm.
this is what it is. But when you do something that really grabs the attention of the viewer, they're
Mhm.
going to want to come back for more.
Yep.
There's some industries, there's some commercials that you don't really have that freedom to make it very different or big and blown out like wow.
Mhm.
But there's definitely the opportunity to tell the story, to
Mhm.
keep people engaged. It doesn't really matter what you're trying to sell. You want people to come back and see more. Whether it's uh, going back to what I said before, when we can tell a story, a narrative story about a hat or a coffee cup or something, people will get drawn to that because they want to know what's going to happen next.
Yep.
I think creating a campaign and not focusing on the one-off type commercial
Yep.
is the way to do it. And there's a lot of examples out there where you see, that story being told, whether
Mhm.
it's a Super Bowl commercial that you see the story. And
Yep.
some of them are so simple. There was a commercial that came out a number of years ago where it was two guys walking, and it was more of like a memory voice that you heard. You don't know what that commercial was until the very last second.
Mhm.
And, it was so powerful.
Right.
I don't know how it works on your podcast to mention products and everything,
No,
but
it's fine.
it was like a, minute and a half long commercial. And it showed two guys walking, and you hear this memory voice talking about the days we've had. And it was very emotional. And at the very end, one of the men disappears, and he pours a glass of a whiskey,
Mhm.
and toast his friend that had passed away years ago.
Right.
And it was like, whoa, like it
Yep.
it, it drew on your heartstrings.
Yep.
And that's what you have to do. No matter what the product is, you need to get people engaged. You need to pull on their heartstrings, make them know why they want to go with you instead of another company.
Right.
Um,
I mean, I think that, yeah, you have to, if you're going to enter, if you advertisements are interruptions, and I know this from the sales world because a lot of my teeth were cut in the beginning of my career cold calling people. I'm interrupting them. They're trying to do something with their day, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and I am interrupting them. You just own it. The thing is how do you interrupt them with value? And I think the same, you need to have that same process if you're going to do an ad spot. You need to interrupt people with value, and the main thing is through entertainment. Now, my
mhm.
personal brand, because of the nature of my company, I try to go more towards the informing people as opposed to entertain people. But humor and entertainment are first, and then if you're clever, like you said, you can get that story across, even if you can do it in a short amount of time. So, like when I think of, and I'd love for you to comment on this, like three quick ones that stood out to me in terms of like ads that stood out to me because they did something different. Number one was that Super Bowl ad where it was just the QR code. There was just the QR code
Yeah.
bouncing around like the old screensavers. And I made my wife get up because she had her phone next to her and go QR code that. And it was a Bitcoin thing, some kind of digital cryptocurrency thing, which it was definitely marketed towards people like me because we're so used to QR codes. Younger people, people think that's kind of cool. Another thing that I thought was really unique is two different YouTube ads that I saw. One was the Grip 6 belt. Have you heard of that company that makes those Grip 6 belts? It's this guy who invented like this unique belt, and he tells the story. And he kept on hitting me with these YouTube ads. I haven't even bought one yet, but I know that one day I want to get a Grip 6 belt, and I'll buy it because for about 10 times during like a 3 or 4 6 month period, he would hit me with this brand vision video ad about him and what he saw belts not doing for him that frustrated him, and why he designed this new belt that is affordable, it's made in America, and is super functional, and it looks good. And it's kind of my style. But he just had this way of telling a story and hitting me, because you can't do a one-off ad and expect someone to come purchase your product. He saturated with me strategically. And then the final one, and would like to see if you had anything that stood out to you, was people are used to, when you go to YouTube, they're automatically going to hit you with 1 to 2 ads these days that are at minimum 5 seconds before you could skip them. but usually it's just immediately pops out to you. It starts blaring at you or trying to be funny and getting in your face. And I remember one time I went to go turn up the YouTube video I wanted, and I was waiting for the ad to do its thing, but I didn't hear anything because I was looking away. And I went and looked back, and it was an ad, but it was like this very simple banking app, but did not have any volume. And it made me look at their ad to make sure, like, is something wrong with my phone? Everything was perfectly fine with my phone. They deliberately did not use sound to make me look in at my phone. I was like, dang, it was like some kind of bank, but I was like, that is a clever ad. So anyways, those are some things that stick out to me as a 30-year-old guy who's on YouTube and streaming a lot. But, you know, I feel like that's the kind of secret sauce, or that little wrinkle of being different that can get something to stand out, even if it's an ad that usually people are constantly trying to skip.
I'd have to say, you know, not speaking for Julio, for me, I'm not some marketing guru. Like, I can't speak intelligently of what is capturing everybody out there. I'm a little bit older than you, and I'm not, you know, hip to the jive in the way of, you know, what is capturing what people are doing. We work with agencies, we do our own stuff as well. But I think that's just it. Speaking personally, you know, I click on a lot of the skip ads. If it's going to catch me, it's going to be something specific that relates to me. You know, I'm not in a lot of ads people are going to skip because it has nothing to do with them. There's definitely videos I've seen in little clips that don't have anything to do with me, nothing I would purchase, but the story caught me. And it's like, oh, I do want to see, you know, this guy drinking Metamucil. Like, I don't know why, but it's a cool story, you know? So again, it just comes down to the content. It comes down to the story that you're being told, and people are going to get engaged by it. I don't believe in like the shock marketing. You know, people that'll say, well, no news is bad news, whatever, you know, it's like, just because, you know, I don't like the shock marketing, you know, where
just because you're getting attention doesn't mean it's productive attention.
Right. And a lot of times I think that can hurt you. I definitely like to gear more towards the wholesome stories versus any of the shock type stuff. You know, that probably works for some people. That's just not something personally that I'm looking for.
I mean, and like if you play that card too heavily, it will backfire quickly. Like the whole IHOP thing. Remember when they were saying that they were going to redo themselves as IHOB and they were going to go to burgers instead of pancakes? And it was like this long drawn out thing. And they're like, just psych, just kidding. Like that works if you do it once every 10 years. But if that's a normal part of your thing, even something as innocent as that will be like, okay, eye roll. Let me ignore you.
And that was probably a huge campaign for them to do that backfired. But I'm sure there was a lot of money that went into doing that. You know, so that's, again, a choice that you'd have to make with what are you willing to invest. And, you know, a lot of the videos and the brand visions that we do when we meet with our clients, it's almost a partnership that we form with them. Yes, they're paying us to create this content for them, but it's an investment. You know, we look at it more as you're investing in a product that we're providing to you that is going to have that return. Again, how quick is that ROI? Everybody wants to know. You know, it all depends on what the product is and what the story is.